In the last video, I talked about the God spark that is within each of us, and we saw a whole list of attributes that is a natural part of our spiritual heritage as children of the creative source. Today, I want to focus on the possible reason why we don't see more of these traits come out in our everyday lives, from other citizens, our civic leaders, and our world governments. Now, I'll preface this by saying this is my perspective, and it's purely hypothetical. But stay with me. You might be able to connect the same dots I have, and perhaps we might be onto something. Now, we know from psychology and other spiritual practices that what we focus on expands. What we put our attention on tends to become the nature of our experiences and our reality. If we were to move this notion beyond the individual to include groups of people, families, neighborhoods, and communities, we can see that certain ideas and mores turn into sociological structures that with time can cross geographical boundaries and consume the globe. Keep that in mind as we move forward. The other thing that modern psychology and the power of focus has shown us is how negative beliefs can hinder and stunt our growth. For an example, if a child was taught from the moment of his birth that he was a bad child, stupid, and unable to measure up, would it surprise us at all that he might grow up having poor grades in school, bad social relationships, maybe even getting wrapped up with drugs and other illegal activities? One could argue, how could he not? If he truly believed the psychological abuse that had been laid upon him and truly believed that he was bad, psychologists know that belief system will be made manifest. So, how does this apply to our spirituality? Well, if a child can be ruined by the viewpoints of his parents, siblings, or peers, if he were taught such damaging ideas from the time of his youth, how might a society and planet act and behave if they were taught similar things being viewed at them by a god? You know, for centuries, societies and parents have taught the next generation that they have fallen short and are sinners in God's eyes. Granted, they usually also try to balance that out with the type of salvation. However, the reality of flaw never goes away and remains a constant. Psychologically, this is the same as the child being taught how bad he is and that he will never change. How can we expect society, leaders and governments to act when at the very core, most of them have been taught that we are, as a species, intrinsically born broken? Well, they can't. And this is why it's so incredibly important to embrace what we talked about in the last video, the God spark within. For that is truly what our foundation is, and it is perfect. Yes, we have the capacity to do evil, but we also have the equal capacity to do good, the greatest good, and perform miracles, if only we just give ourselves permission to believe that we can. We are the Alpha and the Omega, the Yin and the Yang. Imagine, how would we have turned out as a society and a species if we had been taught for thousands of years that we were the loving reflection of the Source Creator, filled with love, compassion, and connection to all life? It is within us. All we have to do is to acknowledge it and choose to live it. For more information on this and other topics of spirituality, check out my award-winning best-selling books on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Please, if you've enjoyed this video, share it with your friends. Like me on Facebook at Jeffrey Marks Author, and follow me on Twitter. And remember, you were born a perfect spirit. So be sure to have a spirited day. See you next time.